Good morning, true crime junkies. It's True Crime King. It is December 29th, 2022. And today, this video, it's going to be another Long Crime Network video. So, it's going to be pretty interesting. Madison Mogen, one of the girls that was killed, her father believes that the killer will be caught, and we're going to get into that in this video, and as well as hear from Phil Waters, a homicide detective, about the case and everything that has happened so far. So don't forget to like and subscribe, and let's go. And real quick, I'm trying to put on my best face here, but I am sick, so if I do sound a little weird, that's why.
Thank all the people working on trying to figure this out, and it really means a lot.
A father of one of the victims speaks out, a former tenant talks about the crime scene, and online sleuths target an ex-boyfriend. We delve into the latest into the University of Idaho murder investigation with legendary former homicide detective Phil Waters. Welcome to Sidebar, presented by Law and Crime. I'm Jesse Weber. Another week, another day, and still no arrests, no publicly identifiable suspect, and no recovered murder weapon in the University of Idaho quadruple murder case. This is the killings of 21-year-old Kaylee.
So again, no suspect, no murder weapon, so nothing so far as we know.
Salvis, 21-year-old Madison Mogen, 20-year-old Sonner Kernodle, and 20-year-old Ethan Chapin. Their bodies were found in their rental home on November 13th, and there's still so many questions that we have. Now, while we don't know what is happening behind the scenes with law enforcement and investigators, what we can discuss is what's happening publicly, because we do have some updates to go through. And to help me talk through this and get the latest in the investigation about where we're at, I'm joined once again by Phil Waters, who has been with...
And real quick, I've been getting comments, a lot of you are like trying to tell me like I'm wrong, but then I comment back and ask, where's your source? How do you know? And then they either don't comment back or say, oh no, never mind, you were right. So if you're gonna say I'm wrong about something, come with your facts and a source, okay? Or don't say it at all. Thank you.
With us the last few weeks to go over this case. Phil is a former legendary homicide detective who has worked over 400 cases, and he is an expert interrogator. Phil, it's great to have you once again back here on Sidebar.
Good morning, Jesse. I appreciate y'all having me back.
Yeah, of course, and I want to start with right now Ben Mogen. So Ben Mogen is the father of Madison Mogen. I don't believe he's spoken out previously. I could be mistaken, but this is significant what he said. He spoke to a local media outlet, and he said, while there are still so many questions that haven't been answered in this case, he believes the killer or killers will be caught. So this is kind of a different sense of what we've been seeing online and from the community, where there's this seeming lack of trust in law enforcement.
Okay, that's a good sign that one of the fathers, is saying he really believes that the killer will be caught. Kaylee's dad has came out before criticizing how law enforcement is handling the case, and he wasn't real optimistic. That's what I gathered from how him and his lawyer have been talking. But yeah, that's a good sign.
He has said, quote, "From the very beginning, I've known that people don't get away with these things these days. There's too many things that you can get caught up on, like DNA and videos everywhere. This isn't something that people get away with. That goes unsolved."
Okay, real quick, I want to address that. First of all, there is many people that commit murders these days, right now, and get away with it, even with all the cameras and the DNA. Okay, um, but the good thing is this one is still staying right in the media because people like me and all the other true crime people in the news are still making videos about it over a month later. Okay, so yeah, but most 90% of murders do not get this kind of attention or and manpower to help solve them. So yeah, I don't agree with this statement. There's so many murders that go unsolved. Just ask, some parents that have lost a kid, or a kid that have lost their parents to being murdered and still haven't found them. I mean, that's just my take.
He also said, that how state investigators have been getting kind of outside help from the FBI. And he said that with these resources, they should be able to solve the case. He said, quote, "I have to just know that they know what they're doing. And if they don't, then they're going to know someone that does." What do you make of his statements? Do you agree with him?
Well, to a degree, I do. And I'm, of course, heartfelt prayers have been going up for him and the other family members of these young people that the tragic event. I do agree with him in the sense that there are a lot of resources now today from a technological standpoint that has brought the conclusion to cases.
Yeah, I mean, the technology today is, you know, 1,000,000,000 gazillion times better than it was in the 70s, 80s, and before. They have all this modern crap, and they even have the FBI, which has even more modern crap. So they have a lot of, you know, means of technology to solve this case. They just need a break. If the killer didn't leave any DNA, then the most advanced shit in the world won't work. But he's I'm sure he's on camera somewhere, but with a car somewhere. But you just gotta find it and know what you're looking for. Need them tips, you know.
Brought about in a more timely way. Now, I use that word timely loosely because it may take the timely manner in this particular case. It may be 2 months, it may be 2 years, and it could go on from there. But the statement that he makes about people just don't get away with this kind of thing in today's world, that is true to a degree. But again, this is, when it comes down to it, it's just going to be good old-fashioned detective work that gets this thing solved. And that's just hitting the bricks, getting out there, talking to people, processing the evidence that's been collected, and then seeing where that evidence leads. So I think there's a better chance that something like this, especially the scope of this particular crime, will be resolved.
Yeah, and we know that the chief of police has come out and basically tried to reassure the public that we got this under control. We're in charge of this. We know what's happening.
And remember, law enforcement, they might already know who did this, but us, the general public, we don't know. So, that maybe, and I'm sure the families know more than the general public as well. So, like I said, it's a good sign that that Maddie's father is saying that he thinks is going to be resolved.
So I know there's been some questions about the leadership in this investigation. What I want people to know is this is a Moscow Police Department investigation. We're utilizing the resources of the FBI and the state police, but we pick the investigators. My command team oversees this. We have 94 years of experience between us.
Okay. Yeah, never mind.
We do have outside help, but there's so much we don't know behind the scenes. I feel the reason, or one of the reasons he came out, Mr. Mogen, is because maybe there's something happening online. Obviously, people have shown an intense interest in this case. He said, quote, "I can get all my news about it right from there, and I don't have to try and drudge through all the misinformation." The reason I say this is because people online it seems to me, are having such a need to try to find the killer that they're looking at all the places that either police have already looked or police have said that is just a red herring. And the reason I bring this up,
Well, people are doing that because we don't know all the places the police have already looked.
is there's a young man named Jack Decor. Hopefully I'm pronouncing his last name correctly. He's the ex-boyfriend of Kaylee Gonsalves. He dated her for 5 years. They broke up 3 weeks before the murder. He was looked into by police. He was cleared as a suspect, and even Kaylee's family has said he is not involved in this, but internet sleuths do not agree. According to his aunt, who's spoken out, she says the internet has come after him. They think he's the killer. It's been tough on him. So it seems...
Well, I mean, okay, a couple things. Number one, the law enforcement could just be saying that just so Jack doesn't get his guard up or move or flee, and keeps giving him information. I mean, number two, Jack might have a solid alibi, but if the police really want to clear him, then they should come out and tell us why that they cleared Jack. Until they do that, tell us exactly why they do not believe Jack is a suspect. That's not good enough for me. You can't just say, "Oh yeah, we know Jack. There's no way he could have done it." That's not good enough. I mean, if you really want to clear him, police, then just come out and tell us why. Do you have him on camera somewhere between 3 and 4? I mean, just something. So then everybody could stop looking at Jack. Does that make sense?
To me, Mr. Mogen coming out and saying, "Leave it to the police," is a way to kind of, temper the flames that we're seeing online. And I'm curious that that's putting pressure on police right now to solve this quickly so that the wrong people aren't targeted.
Well, I don't think there's any more pressure on law enforcement than what is already there and what is already self-imposed. Look, I know that when I worked cases in Houston, especially when it was a multiple fatality case like this one, and you have to go to the family and speak to them about this, and you have to have empathy, you have to have compassion for those folks in the discussion of the scene itself, because you want to be honest with the family about what is going on, and I think that's what's happening here. I don't think the chief, the optics of this thing when it first got started, horrible, only because this was so out of the realm of what the chief had experienced in his career, and especially in this community. But now it would appear to me that they have this communication better on track, and I think that when they, at the very beginning of this thing, the Moscow PD realized they were really in over their head in terms of investigative experience, and they reached out to the state and the FBI. I've said this before, It's not like Die Hard, gentlemen, I give you the FBI. That's just not the way this works. So they had the foresight and the wisdom to do this. So now they have these resources all marshaled to come up with, hopefully, finding the right person who's done this wrong thing. But in regards to the boy, go ahead, Jesse, do you want to?
No, I was going to say, regarding the boyfriend, how can we be sure he was properly ruled out? And I understand why people are going.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. How can we be sure that he wasn't involved? I mean, if that picture that came out 2 days ago, where they're all Jack, Dee, both Jacks, Kaylee and Maddie and Adam are all at this bar. If that is at 1:42 a.m., if that is legit, okay. Remember, Kaylee and Maddie both tried to call Jack at 2:52 was the last time, and then they went to bed. Okay, but then Jack said he was asleep by then already, which I don't understand if that picture is authentic. I don't understand how he could, from 1:42, leave the bar, get home, and you're still awake. You just walked home, or got home somehow, and then you had to take your clothes up, brush your teeth, get ready for bed. That's less than an hour. How are you already sleeping by then? And your phone would have been ringing before that, because 2:52 was the last time they tried calling him. Okay, and apparently that screenshot at the bar was at 1:42, so an hour and 10 minutes before. So it took him at least another 10 minutes to leave the bar. So that only gives him an hour to get home, do all that, and then fall asleep immediately. That's very. I don't think that's he would have been asleep by then. But yeah, again, what makes law enforcement say that Jack is cleared and definitely has not done this?
After him, when you talk about stabbing, it seems like a kind of a personal, intimate event. So you would look at somebody who maybe had something personal against Kaylee. How can we quiet?
Remember, they left that bar with the other Jack Showalter. So Jack DeCour had to have been mad about that. I mean, Kaylee was leaving the next day or so for wherever, Texas or wherever, and when you're at the bar, he wasn't Jack DeCour wasn't with another girl. I mean, every guy wants to get laid, especially if it's your ex-girlfriend's last day there, right? So, he had to have been a little upset. I mean, that's just human nature.
Any of the the online speculation against the boyfriend, can we trust law enforcement? They properly ruled him out.
Well, that's just going to have to happen. But the problem is with what has happened with the boyfriend and this online stuff. This is the bad part about the online generated theories and so forth and so on regarding anything for that matter. But in this particular case, people hide behind their names, their Twitter names, whatever, and they just put this stuff out. I don't think this bell is ever going to be unrung regarding the boyfriend, the ex-boyfriend. That genie's out of the bottle.
What do you mean? It can be unrung very easily. All law enforcement has to do is say, oh, we know Jack didn't do it because X, Y, and Z. We know he didn't do it because he was here. We know he was here and he couldn't have been at that house. And then that's it. No one else will talk about Jack. That, what do you guys think? Put down in the comments.
And people are going to continue to do what they do because.
And he's right. A lot of people do hide behind, but I'm not hiding, but a lot of people, they comment, they say all kinds of nasty shit, and they don't even have a picture of themselves. They don't use their real names, and then they say everybody's wrong and they're right, and it is what it is. That's why I vet the comments, so people just can't do that on my channel. Go do it on someone else's channel. You ain't doing it here.
That's the nature of people. In terms of him being ruled out, the first thing I would have done, and I'm sure this is one of the first things they did in this investigation, is you start working this thing from the inside out, and you're going to start at the most personal relationships with those 4 victims, all of them, not just Kaylee. You're going to all of them. And in this particular case, Kaylee has an ex-boyfriend that she had just broken up with. Well, certainly that's somebody that the detectives are going to look at right off the bat. They're going to bring him in. They're going to interview him. And they're going to find out where he was when this happened.
Exactly. But if he says he was at home, even if the parents confirm he was at home, that's still not good enough for me. They don't know if he snuck out, okay, and walked one house over where they lived, And if that's good enough for the police, then whoever made that decision, I personally believe should not be in charge anymore. Okay? Unless they have something better than that. Him on camera somewhere else, or him, on a traffic camera. Anything except, I was at home sleeping. That's not good enough for me. He definitely, there is still a chance he could have done that if his alibi is I was at home, because he lives right fucking next to him, and there's that wood line. Everybody probably already knows that by now.
So if that's been verified, if nothing could put him at that scene, then that's it. He's ruled out. Now that doesn't mean that if something does come up in a piece of evidence that would cause them to have to go revisit him and talk to him about.
Okay, no. If the police say he's cleared, then they should know that there can't be any more evidence, Otherwise, don't say he's cleared, right? Maybe they're just saying he's cleared so the general public will stop her, accusing him or having theories. Maybe that's the only reason why. And maybe internally he's not cleared, But again, him just being home and saying he was sleeping is not a good enough alibi, in my opinion.
Explaining why we find this there at the scene, then they'll do that. But I mean,
or him supposedly just being a nice guy and could never hurt anybody. No, that is definitely not something that should clear him or anybody. Okay.
In terms of this young man, he's just being raked over the coals unmercifully, and it's improper.
And some people, are actually accusing him, I'm just saying he shouldn't be cleared unless they have undeniable proof that he was somewhere else, and there is 100% no doubt about it that he could not have committed this crime, and there's no evidence that could ever come up in the future, that would say he did this if they cleared him. Hopefully, you guys understand where I'm at right with that.
Well, again, the hope is that they're looking at everybody and everything. Two of the people that were ruled out very early in this case were the two surviving roommates. We've talked about this before on Sidebar, that the victims were found on the second and third.
Like, again, with these roommates, I don't know how they can just rule them out. I mean, they live right below. How do you know they didn't walk up there and kill them while they're sleeping? I mean, or let somebody in the front door or the back door. How do the police confirm that? I don't think you can. So how do you say that they're cleared already? I don't understand that.
Third floors, but there were two surviving roommates who apparently might have slept through everything. They were on the ground floor. They were not harmed in any way. Here's what's interesting. It's come out that a former tenant of that house, somebody who had graduated, I think, in 2022, earlier, he said the house is a creaky house, and his name is Cole Altanade. And he said that he told ABC News that you could typically hear every movement inside the home. It's, quote, it's definitely an old creaky house.
Yeah, unless you're sleeping, yeah, and have some like socks on and walk real slow, right? Obviously, they didn't hear whoever the fucking killer was because they didn't have enough time to react or call 911 or anything, or get some kind of weapon. So the creaky house thing has no merit, in my opinion, because it didn't work, right?
You can't walk up any of the stairs or any of the floors without everybody in the house knowing it. He also talked about how kind of being a party house and people knew about it, and there are people who are very familiar with the house since people were coming in and out. So now we're wondering two things. Is it A, the killer somebody who had been to that house previously, right? If you take him at his word, somebody who maybe was familiar with the layout of that house.
Okay, in my opinion, it had to have been somebody familiar with that house or that has been in the house before. Okay? Most likely, again, unless the surviving girls let them in through the front door, most likely they went in through the back door. We know there was a ladder on the side of the house. Okay, so they could have went in through the top sliding door. Nobody knows which door they entered for a fact. Nobody. So don't comment and tell me that anybody knows, because nobody does. And yeah, I mean,
and B, again, there's a lot of questions about the two surviving roommates. How could they not have heard anything? And I know that there was a 911 phone call placed the next day where they talked about, I believe it was an unconscious person. They had called the friends to the house first before they made the 911 phone call. But again, we haven't heard the 911 phone call. We don't know the contents of it. Pure speculation at this point. But hearing
look, there's the ladder right there. You see it? Where my cursor is, all the way to the right. That's a ladder. Okay? It's still there. You can still see it. So if you were doubting me, you're not doubting me now, right? There's the ladder, and I'm sure it extends right up, and somebody could have put it on the little balcony or the deck, whatever it is, out back, and went up on the second floor. I mean, or the third floor, whatever, wherever the deck is. Or if a window was open, who knows?
Some well-known folks on the interwebs talking about how could they not hear this? How could they not hear this going? These two roommates from the first floor.
Yeah, I mean, if the ex roommate is saying that the house is so creaky, then how could they not have heard it? Well, if everybody was asleep, once again, I wouldn't hear if someone's walking in my house, and it creaks a little bit. I got wood floors, and up until my rooms. But if I was asleep, I wouldn't hear any creaks, So, unless they were all asleep.
How could they not have heard this? How do we explain that? And that, to me, that is just sensationalism for its sake. And there is a completely logical reason why they didn't hear it. Number one, they were asleep. They may have been passed out.
Yeah, or passed out drunk. Then you're definitely not going to hear some creaks,
And I'm not suggesting that they were. I'm just saying that the circumstances may have been that.
But we don't know if they were asleep or not.
Case, and
the bottom two roommates.
This is a silent killer moving through the house. That
killer or killers. We don't know if it's one or more.
What looks to me, from the outside looking in, appears that they knew where they were going to, and
I agree with that. They must have known.
You have to remember that Ethan and Zana were on the second floor, and they were presumably, I would imagine, the blood trail would be able to tell who.
But yeah, it doesn't make sense though. Let's say most people online are saying that Kaylee was a target, okay? And the killer most likely knew his way around the house. Why would they kill Ziana and Ethan? I can see why Maddie, because her and Kaylee were in the same bed, But why go into Ziana and Ethan's room too? And why not go downstairs and kill everybody if that's what you're there? If you're just gonna go in and kill everybody, I mean, this case is just so weird.
Who was killed first? I'm just assuming that they were. When this person, if Kaylee was the one they were after, and that's an if, then they realized that this was not Kaylee, and they went up and found her, and then did what they did to Kaylee and Madison. So the use of a bladed weapon, that's a silent killer, and this person apparently is efficient with the use of it.
But who knows? I mean, there's tons of people. I mean, Kaylee was definitely sleeping with some multiple guys. Probably Maddie too. I mean, you got both Jacks, you got Hunter, and that's just the guys that we know about. We know that Kaylee was with both Jacks and Hunter after Hunter's girlfriend left the year before, so. And most likely it was while she was with Jack and after Jack D, and probably at the same time Jackass and Hunter too, so there's, if it was a sexual thing, then there's at least 3 guys involved.
That weapons,
or that could be involved.
So they could go in, do what they needed to do, make very little noise, and nobody would have heard anything happening.
But yeah, that's basically all they're gonna talk about. So yeah, comment below. Let me know what you think. Hit the like button. Hit the subscribe button. You're gonna want to see what's coming up, and I'll see you in the next video. True Crime King, out.